Thanks for joining us tonight. Central offices for the Green Bay Area Public School District are staying put.
This after a 6-1 vote tonight rejecting that proposal to relocate the offices and close the 95-year-old building on South Broadway as part of the facility's master plan. Jason Zimmerman was at the meeting. He's live in the newsroom with new details. Jason.
Cami, all of this as the district faces a significant budget deficit board members are attempting to address. While a community task force voted in favor of closing the district office building, board members tonight voting to keep the building cited concerns over the cost of having to relocate. District administrators have estimated it would cost between $20 million and $26 million. That information was not available to the task force making its recommendation or members of the public who recently participated in a survey which found 78% of people support closing the district's central office. While board member Andrew Becker supported exploring the idea more, others on the board said they could not justify having the administration put time and effort into a plan which lacked the potential to provide the savings most people would expect.
This doesn't reflect listening to the community that overwhelmingly spoke up that they want this office closed in the survey. And in fact, it was the only thing in the survey that I would say was overwhelmingly supported.
And I think this is an opportunity, but based on the dollar amount to make this change, it's not something I can support right now, but I hear what people are saying. I understand the need to look at things creatively, and we'll do that in strategic planning.
The board tonight also unanimously approved a resolution asking the state for permission to start school a few days early in 2024. This would allow the schools to close during the NFL draft the following spring and help relieve some of the concerns about traffic in the area. Bill, back to you.